Okay, for this video, we are going to be looking at adding details to our piece. We are going to start by adding some life in these eyes, creating another color in here and a gradient and probably some sort of rim light where we add a little bit of life to your eyes. And then we'll go in and we'll finish up and kind of look around our piece and see if we need to change some of the line weights or add in some extra lines to kind of thicken up this piece and make it look a little bit more bold and interesting. So let's go ahead and get started with the eyes. If we take a look at your layer list, and your layer list may be a little bit different than mine, I've tried to do a really good job of separating all of the different colors that I've used throughout my piece. So I can turn those on and off and they are on their own separate layers. And if you didn't do this, it's okay. It just kind of comes with practice. But you can see here, the white of my eyes are listed right here. And then we've got eye, which is right here. Okay, so I'm going to be working in this zone. If you have for some reason created a layer where this is all attached. Maybe you have the eyes that are painted on the same layer, or you've painted those eyes on a layer that has skin tone. I'll try to make a way where we can work around that. But essentially, we're going to want to add some stuff on top of these two layers. And we're going to start off by taking a sample of our eye color. So if I click that there, you can see our eye change, our eye color change. And from this, we're going to switch to the brush. Now, more than likely, the hardness of your brush has been up at 100% the whole time. And if I draw a line here, just for so to speak, you can see that's at the edges of this brush are completely flat. What we're going to do is go into our brush and we're going to change this to a hardness of 0. And if I draw this out, you can see how feathered that brush looks. Okay, so I'm going to undo my steps there. Double check, make sure the hardness of my brush is set here to 0. Now, I have the color of my eye, but if I do anything, it's not going to make a change. So I'm going to click on my little color swatch, and it's going to bring up my eye color here. And you can do one of two things. You can bring up your eye color to be a little bit lighter, or instead, I'm going to leave it in that same spectrum, but I'm going to bring this up into the blue zone. Now, if you are working maybe with like brown or something, maybe you have brown eyes, you could go into the yellow zone or maybe throw in a little bit of green. It's totally up to you, but I'm going to grab a little bit of blue and then I'm going to lighten it just a little bit here. And I can see the two colors in comparison. Those are the two colors that are going to be together. The cool thing is that I am going to be able to blend those together. Now I'm going to take my brush, and you notice I'm not working with a brush that's super small. I've got a brush here that's a pretty good size in comparison to my eye. So I'm going to take this and I'm going to kind of line it up the best I can as a target, and I'm going to click. Now, I've just clicked it once, and you can see it's very, very blue. I'm going to click it again in here and see if I actually like this. I'm going to zoom out. That's a pretty drastic change in color. So I'm going to Control Z or Command Z on a Mac, and I'm actually going to undo that. And I'm going to bring this down a little bit more into the green zone. And try this again. There we go. That's a little better. And maybe give it 2 or 3 clicks here. That looks great. Now remember how many times you've clicked on this eye, because you're going to want to evenly do it over here. All right, and I'm going to zoom out just a little bit. I think this one's just a little bit bigger. There. All right. Now, another thing we can do is you can also go through your blend modes and start seeing if any of those start to make it look better. It looks like a lot of these are making them completely worse. Yeah, some of these are absolutely terrible. Lighter color doesn't look too bad, and neither does color overlay. But some of these, whew, like hard mix, those are looking crazy. Or even exclusion, absolutely insane, right? So for me, I'm gonna leave that normal. And here's another trick we can do. If this is looking a little bit too wild, we can take our opacity of that new color and we can bring it down. I've chosen a blue that's a little bit over the top, but I think it'll be fine. I'm gonna go in here and just add a little bit more to this side and this side. All right. Now, this is where we're going to go in and look at our eyes. So we've got the blue, we've got this green here, and I'm going to add a new layer, and this is going to be, I'm just going to call it shadow eye. So I'm going to add a little bit of darkness here to our color. So I'm going to try to grab that original green that we had and bring it down a little bit. Great. Now with this, it's going to be a little bit more tricky. I'm going to zoom in here pretty close and bring my brush pretty small. And I'm going to think about where all of the light is occurring. All of the light for me is coming from this direction. So it's coming this way. So what I'm going to do is actually add a little bit more darkness to my eyes on that right side. So I'm going to take my smoothness all the way up to 100%. And I'm just going to go in here and drag that in. And this actually needs to be right, there we go. And if you're not seeing the results you want, you most definitely can take that color and darken it. I'm just going to add a thin line over here on this side. Now, if you end up painting outside of the eye, you can always undo, or you can take your eraser . Okay, let's grab our last part for our eye. Just going to be the little sparkles. We want to add just a little sparkle here. If you really want to go in and add even more eye details, say you want to go in with your brush and add some super, detailed kind of stuff on your iris in here, you are more than welcome to. For us, I don't feel like we necessarily need to, just because I know everyone's is looking a little bit different. So we're just going to stick to some basic stuff here. So we're going to go to our outline. So the thing that is on the very top of everything we've been doing. And we're actually going to create something on top. So I'm just going to put eye sparkle. That's what I'm going to call it. And with the eye sparkle, we're going to leave our brush at that 0% hardness. But I'm going to change my color to white. Now, when we do this, I want to think about where all the light's coming from. And again, the light is coming from this direction in my photograph. So I'm going to put the highlight on my eye right here. There we go. And I'm actually going to make that a little bit bigger. There we go. The other eye here. I want to look at them both at the same time, make sure they kind of line up here. There we go. And if you want a secondary light, make your second brush, my brush is about that size, make it a little bit smaller, pack that in underneath, and then zoom out. I don't know that I'm enjoying the secondary light, so I'm going to actually take that away. And I'm now very, very aware that this pupil is a little bit small. So I'm going to go in here with my brush and adjust that. And that is what all of these final things are about. Kind of taking a look at what's going on with your piece and seeing what needs to change. I don't really want to erase all that. There we go. That's starting to look way better. Okay. Let's talk about the eye sparkle that we've created. Now, for me, that's adding quite a bit of glisten. So again, you can look through your different blend modes. I'm just going to take my opacity here and I'm going to drop that down a little bit. So it's just a little bit too bright when I have it all the way up. So you can see here, I'm going to stick mine at about 75%. I think that looks good. Okay, let's look at the finish or the final touches. So very important that we take a look at the sparkle that's going on here and take a look at the outline. Ooh. Take a look at the outline, and I'm going to create a new layer, and this is going to be outline Dutch. Wow. That way I realize that this is inevitably the end. Okay, so going back to the brush, double check myself, make sure the hardness of my brush is at 100% here. And your smoothing is going to vary just depending on what you're doing. So I'm going to make sure that the color of my brush is set at black. So those zeros. And what I want to do is kind of look around at my piece and see just if there are a couple of lines that maybe need a little bit more attention to kind of make them stand out. So I'm going to start here in my hair. I think that this space could use just a little bit more. So I'm going to do some work, and you can take a look at yours and see if there are a few pieces where you could go back in and create some line work that maybe helps boost this contrast and create more visual weight instead of just these lines that you created on maybe day 1 or day 2. Okay, so we'll take a little before and after kind of look here and see if there's anything which I may want to change. I think I saw a couple of details here I'm going to pull in. It's always good to kind of check your work and zoom in and out every once in a while, just to double check yourself There we go. That kind of ties it together. The top of this was kind of missing a little bit of that. So let's take a look. Here is our before, and everything looks pretty good for the most part. When we add that extra contrast in there with those bold lines, it really sends that to the front. And there's no reason either that you couldn't look at this piece and say, oh, well, now that I have more bold detail, maybe I want to change the appearance of my background a little bit. So I did scroll down here just a second ago to my pattern, and I'm going to take that pattern and I want it to look like this instead. I think that kind of helps to bring in some of that look. All right, good luck with finishing everything up. This kind of concludes our work. And later this week, we'll be starting on our new assignment. Very excited about that. So we'll see you then.